UK Conservation Manager at Bristol Zoological Society. I've been here for at least a couple of decades doing this job. And my role really is to do conservation basically in the Southwest. So I have a team of fantastic conservation officers, and we work with lots of different projects and people all around the Southwest, basically working on species recovery and habitat restoration.
I'm a UK Conservation Officer for Bristol Zoological Society. I studied conservation at Bangor University and have since gone on to doing a range of jobs in the conservation sector. I was an ecologist for a while and then moved away from the commercial side. I was a tree surgeon for a little bit, and in the end I found myself at Bristol Zoo, and I specialise in habitat management.
My journey to where I am now is sort of long and winding, really, many things. Building balconies in Bondi, sports coordinator in Cumbria, landscape gardening business of my own, and then leading on to University of Bath and studying for environmental management, and then working for the National Trust, Wiltshire Wildlife Trust, finally about 13 years ago for Bristol Zoo.
I'm a UK Conservation Officer at Bristol Zoo. I work for the Native Species team. My role involves lots of different surveys, mainly white-quilled crayfish. We have a reintroduction programme, so we're putting crayfish out into the environment. I've always been interested in nature, love being outdoors. I used to work as a zookeeper, and then I really wanted to get out and do some field work and do some native species conservation.
From even as a small child, I was massively into nature and wildlife, and I used to do things like estuary cleanups. I used to, help the snails. I did a lot of fish keeping, and generally I'd write to the council about cleaning up little bits of ponds and things. I basically started volunteering at a fish shop because I really wanted to learn about aquarium fish. So I did some voluntary work. I then worked in vets and decided that although vets was really great, that I wanted to do more with practical conservation. And so then I did some volunteering. I went to Canada and I volunteered at Stanley Park Zoo and at Vancouver Aquarium. And I think that's where I really developed a passion for fish species. And then I found Bristol Zoo, or did Bristol Zoo find me? A bit of both, I think. And I think I was absolutely blown away by the fact that these guys had conservation programs for little brown jobs of fish. I've been so used to keeping sharks and the big glitzy stuff, and to go to an aquarium where it was all about captive breeding, stud books, making sure that we had species that we're going to reintroduce to the wild. It was amazing. It was a totally different thing to start working for a conservation organisation that really cared about the little guys. And that's why I basically came to Bristol Zoo, and I've never looked back.
My name is Gina, and I'm a UK Conservation Officer here at Bristol Zoological Society. I've always been interested in native wildlife, and I'm lucky enough to work here with the native species team. I used to volunteer when I was younger with Bristol Zoo Gardens and with the Animal Encounter Aquarium. I then went on to study ecology and wildlife conservation at uni. After that, I ended up in more of a husbandry role, which I then used the husbandry skills learned there to start working in reintroduction projects.
We've got a variety of projects. We've got the Crayfish Conservation Programme. We've got an invasive weed programme that delivers both our aqua programme and also invasive species control around the Southwest. And then we've got our Linking the Levels programme. That's our real conservation on our doorstep, working in the area, delivering species and habitat restoration around the Bristol Zoo project site. And then we've also got our lovely project work right here at Bristol Zoo Project. And that's where we make sure that all of our development, all of those exciting new exhibits, we make sure that we're not compromising native biodiversity at the same time. So we do a lot of native species restoration actually on site at Bristol Zoo Project. And finally, we have our Avon Gorge project, where we're monitoring the Silky Wave, which is a moth only found in the Avon Gorge in England.
As a UK Conservation Officer, I work at the Bristol Zoo project site, monitoring our native wildlife, including some of our rare species like great crested newts. And I make sure that we're managing their habitat in the best way possible to benefit our native wildlife. And then I also help with the husbandry at the crayfish hatchery and help with the monitoring and translocations of that species as part of the wider project.
The Linking the Levels project, which is a South Gloss Council, Bristol Zoo, Bristol Avon Rivers Trust partnership project, which is a really good partnership. We're all working together very closely and is working from the back of Bristol Zoo all the way up to Aubrey Nate in South Gloucestershire, and raise awareness on how we can help with the threat of invasive species.
The estuary here is a globally important habitat. Our project is targeting priority species like water vole, eels, and estuarine birds, and increasing their ability to use the habitat by improving the environment inland.
I'm also working to map glowworm populations in South Gloss. There's quite a lot around Bristol Zoo projects, so we're doing lots of surveys to find out where they all are and see if there's any opportunity for introductions.
So I'm really hopeful that not only will all of these fantastic projects continue long term, but that also we can really spread the message and excite not only our visitors, but the public as well, so that they can understand how they can do their bit for conservation as well. And hopefully through our communication and outreach as part of each project, we can really give those messages to help increase biodiversity, not just in our projects, but also throughout the UK.
The main aim really is to keep them going and carrying on, and building on all the great work that we've carried out for the last 10-15 years. It is to embed them within organisations in the region, make it their first thought rather than an add-on, and to really sort of work with all the different partners in the area. My hope for the future of conservation really is that everyone realises what they've got on their doorstep, and that they can do something to help that, and that they have the power within their own local communities to go out there, walk their local areas, identify lovely native species that we've still got, and they've got the power to help them.
So my hope is that nature can be restored to a point where everyone gets as much joy out of it as I do, and that inspires everyone to take action and preserve it.
What I hope for conservation is that we save some of these endangered species, and that in the future it won't be uncommon to have like hundreds of butterflies on your back garden.
I hope that people start managing their native wildlife more synthetically to wildlife, so we can support our native species. Hopefully we can improve the quality of our habitats. We can encourage species that we've lost to come back to those habitats, and use reintroduction projects to help bring them back as well.
For the future of conservation, I really hope that the next generation totally understands that the urgency that we have. I truly believe that those small actions that we do can make a big difference in the future. Nature's got an amazing way of recovery if we just allow it to recover, but we have to work together. Everyone can make positive actions, and that's how we can save our planet and make sure that our future generations have it to enjoy.